Greetings, fifth grader. This is your first video for the year that you're going to be watching today. This is about station expectations and procedures. These are my expectations in this room when you're working, and so you need to make sure that you review them carefully. And if you struggle with some of these, there's always the opportunity to re-watch this video to make sure you understand what was needed or expected from you earlier in the day or earlier in the year. So let's get started. First of all, there's usually kind of a daily routine when we have station work. There's usually a schedule or a contract. The schedule will be like a rotation schedule, or a contract may be given to you instead, where you will just work through at your pace and check off things as you get them done. Either way, you need to make sure you put your name, number, and the class at the top so that I can keep track of whose paper belongs to which class. As you complete activities during station work, check off all those items. Failure to check them off will result in fewer points. Yes, you do receive points for turning in the paper. Number 3, you need to complete any exit ticket work or worksheet that might be included on the schedule or the contract. This is how I gather grades for you and make sure that you've understood material, so it's very important you get that turned in. 4, you need to turn in your scheduled contract into the tray that matches your class or particular subject area. If you do not turn in your schedule or contract, you will receive a 0 for that activity. You can turn it in late, however, but the highest score that you can receive then is an 80%. You will not be able to score a 100% anymore. Movement between stations is extremely important, kiddos. There's not always movement for each station. Sometimes stations will only move through time, meaning that you're not going to be getting up and moving your body, but you'll stay at your home spot at the table. But sometimes you will be traveling only just to another location close by. Moving between stations will only be for about a minute. I usually use a timer to move if you need to. This is plenty of time to move or get to your next spot. Moving between stations, you need to be at a level 1 voice level. Level 1 means that it's just above a whisper. Body speed during station movement time is at walk. This is not a time to socialize or to be putting your hands on other people. This is a limited time during the day, so we've talked about how much time you don't have to be spending talking, so make sure you use that time quickly and quietly. When we do partner work, on occasion you'll be working with other people in your group. If the schedule says you may work with a partner, you may do so. In that case, your voice level is no more than a 1. That means you're whispering or quiet talking. I should not be able to hear you clear across the room. Second idea is when you're checking a partner's fluency, if we're having to do reading fluency in here, because we may, in either reading or math, be careful as you watch for places they need to improve and then politely tell them these places. If you're using a timer for these, they are to be set and used for timings. You need to put the timers back after you've finished. Do not set them to go off after you've put them away. This ruins the batteries. And the most important rule is before you come to ask me a question, you need to ask 3 other people politely and quietly during that time. I am supposed to be doing the best I can with a small group, and it's very difficult to do so if I have 6 or 7 people interrupt me during that time. Independent work. This is usually work that shows me your understanding of topics. You need to make sure that you have your name on any work. Be sure you turn it in when it's completed. This should be completed by you. If you get stuck, you may ask people in your group first. If you are still having difficulty, ask someone who may have already completed the task. Remember, ask 3 people before you ask me. If you are really stuck, wait until that transition time between stations so that you can ask me when there is not a group at the back table. If you don't get finished, this work can be homework. It is due by the end of the next day. Always, voice level is either a 0 to a 1 when you're working on independent work. Okay, some just general guidelines. This work is required unless you are told otherwise by Mrs. Beck or another teacher. Required. Yes, that means you need to do it. This is not a time to goof off and do nothing. If you are responsible for your learning much of these times, so you need to do your best. When Mrs. Beck is working with a group, unless you are in that group, please do not interrupt the group with your question. You have the Google if you need to ask a question. If you're not sure how to spell something, there are dictionaries in this room. There's also dictionary online. You may use that to figure out how to spell something. Make sure you turn in your work and your schedule. This is how I often get some good grades for people, and to know that you are doing what you were supposed to be doing during the time given. If you struggle with any of these guidelines and procedures, you'll be given the opportunity to review them. It may even be that you review them at home with a parent and the parent signs off that you now understand the procedures for group work time. Please do not turn this into a problem for you. And at this moment, you may end the video and you are done with this particular video.